it's Jessica. Thank you so much for being here today. It's time for another Makers with Heart video collaboration. This month we are focusing on a stamp set called Change the World. It is the Operation Smile stamp set from Close to My Heart. You can find it on the back of any Close to My Heart catalog. You can see some really beautiful smile sentiments on there, some pretty florals. I'm going to use that one sentiment there for my double page layout. I'm going to be scrapbooking these photos of my kids from the summer. So since it was summer, I thought, why not use the new 4 Seasons Summer paper pack? I think these papers are so pretty. I'm also going to be working out of one of my Make It From Your Heart pattern books using pattern number 2. Okay, so I've gone ahead and prepped all of the pieces. I haven't adhered anything down yet because I wanted to just get a feel for things. Right away, I can tell I've got too much white space up at the top. So I pull out my background element stamp set. Originally, I was thinking that maybe I would use these fun little dots and just kind of stamp them in a row across the top of that blue pattern piece. Stay tuned, I do something different there. But that's what I originally thought that I might do. I also have gone ahead and used the stamp set to pull out that one that I want to use. So it says, "Your smile makes life more beautiful." I actually got some good pictures of each of my kids smiling from this particular day when we were at the park. So I thought that that would work perfectly for my layout here. And originally I die cut it with a circle shape, but then later I thought, wouldn't it be fun to make that a shaker element on my page? So since my circle was a little too small, I cut another circle and I'm just going to glue one on top of the other and save myself a little bit of stamping. You can see here the circle shaker window thin cut set that I'm using to create that, and I'm going to fill it up with some lagoon colored loose gems. Now, I think that I'm going to need a little something more for the title other than that really nice sentiment there. So I'm going to use my simple serif uppercase thin cuts here. And I'm going to punch out the word smiles, and then I will stamp "Love Your" over top of it. So it'll say "Love Your Smiles," and then I'll have that sentiment from the Operation Smile stamp set. Now here what I'm doing is I am just kind of lining up those alphabet dies and then I'm grabbing them with a strip of washi tape. That way I can move them all as one piece. I'm going to go ahead and adhere 2 pieces of lagoon colored cardstock together. And you guys, if you've been around my channel for a while, you've seen me do this trick quite a bit. I really love, especially on alphabet dies, to layer up my cuts and give the letters a little bit more dimension and presence on the page. So if I can run 2 pieces of cardstock through my die cutting machine at once and it still cuts beautifully. So I just glue the 2 pieces of paper together first, then I send it through, and then I repeat that process so that ultimately I'll have 4 letters stacked up together. But I really only have to glue them once. The individual letters once. The papers, obviously, I had to glue together first. Okay, so I'm just prepping all of my pieces here, die cuts, the stamping on my page, just so that once I get all that stuff done, I can go ahead and start assembling things. So like I said, I was thinking about using that background element stamp set and stamping across the top of where that blue pattern paper was going to go. I can see according to my pattern book exactly where that will be on the page. So I'm pulling out my T-square ruler and Versamat and a pencil, and I'm just going to make a mark and draw a line on my page where the top of that blue pattern piece will be. And that's going to be my guide for stamping on my page. I did the same thing on the other side, and I'll come back to that stamping in just a second. But since I like to have my glued pieces kind of sit under a block or something heavy to dry for a few minutes, I thought I'm going to take a break. I'll glue those letters together, put them under my block, and set them aside to dry while I get the stamping done. Just trying to be really efficient with my time because I don't know, any layout for me takes a while to come together, but there's something about double page layouts that it really takes double the amount of time. So I was trying to think ahead and do what I could to be efficient with my time. Okay, so I'm also going to go ahead and create that shaker piece while those letters are drying. So if you've never made a shaker, they're actually pretty simple. This is the foam and the acetate that you can buy to go along with that thin cut set. I like to take my piercing tool and run it along the inside of that foam circle just to separate all of those foam pieces. It makes it a little easier to work with. And then one side of the acetate circle will have like a covering, coating, protecting on it. I use my rub and remove eraser just to grab that and get it started a little bit. And then I'm going to take some liquid glue and add it around the back side of the frame that I have cut out with that die set. And then I am going to take the acetate piece, the good side that doesn't have the coating on it, and I'm going to put it down and let that sit and dry. So all I have to do when I'm ready to continue on is pull that backing off of the side that's still facing up. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so for the other half of my shaker window, I'm going to pull off the protective coating there for the adhesive on this foam circle, and then that's the only part that is revealed. So if I flip it over onto my circle, now I'm going to end up with that foam circle all the way around the outside of my stamped piece there. So I'm just giving it a nice push all the way around to make sure that it is stuck. And then if I gently pull it back, it should stay with just that outer circle on my die cut there. And the rest of that little foam carrier sheet should come away with all of those extra little foam pieces that fill up the inside of the circle. They should stay put because they're, the backing on them is not pulled off. So now I just have a whole bunch of extra foam tape pieces, which is really awesome because I go through a lot of foam tape. Okay, so that the adhesive is exposed there on that foam circle. So I can go ahead and pull off the rest of that covering, fill up my shaker, and then stick the two pieces together. So like I said, I'm going to use some of the lagoon colored gems here because I've got lagoon colored cardstock going on my layout, and they were in my stash, and I thought, let's use them. Let's do this. Why not make this a shaker? I think that would be a fun element. Obviously, you don't shake your layouts in your book quite as much as you might like a card, but I still think it's fun to have some shaker pieces on a layout. So like I said, that adhesive foam, the sticky side is revealed now, so I just have to stick this down with the acetate side down and the good side facing up with the frame facing up. And then now I've got this whole little shaker piece. So that's so fun. I just love to kind of shake it, and sometimes I kind of tap it down to make the rest of them fall, but yeah, that's a lot of fun. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the stamping now. Remember, I have drawn those pencil lines on my paper. I changed directions. I'm going to go with this stamp set here is called See You at the Finish Line. I've used it so many times to scrapbook some of my running layouts, my running pictures. But one thing that I have done, I don't know if I've ever done it in one of my videos though, but I have definitely done it lots of times on cards and other layouts that I've made. I've taken this little tiny stamp here. It's meant to be waves if you like participate in a triathlon. For the swimming part of it, and I use the little wave piece to make just a little scallop border. And then I did draw that line just a smidge down from where I knew that pattern piece was going to have to go on my layout. So now I can just glue it slightly over the top of it, hide my pencil line. I don't even have to erase anything. And now I just have that fun little stamped element coming out the top of the paper. And I think that that's definitely what it needed. Okay, still a lot of white space though. So I'm grabbing my Bluebird shimmer brush and giving it a good shake to mix up all that glitter and ink. I'm going to pull out my empty splatter box here and put one of my pages down in. I thought I better do this before I get my photos adhered. I guess I don't mind if I get a little bit of shimmer over top of that title there that says Smiles. And then I'm going to just take my scissors and tap against it, and it creates some really fun speckles and splatters. You get some small drops, some big drops, and you can go as wild and crazy as you want, but it really is such a fun way to eat up some of that white space that you might have going on your layout. But be warned, you might get some inky fingers. Okay, so I set those two pages aside to dry because it does take a little bit of time for shimmer brush splatters to dry. Otherwise, you're going to end up smearing them all over your sleeves. Ask me how I know. And so I decided to work on a couple of other embellishments that I'm going to use on my page. These are the layered flowers thin cuts. I've gone through and using the cardstock colors that are featured in the pattern paper that I'm using. I've just cut a whole bunch of leaves and flowers and centers out. The cool thing about the layered flowers is you can really kind of mix and match them in a whole bunch of different ways. I made these pink flowers, but I don't end up using them just because there isn't pink anywhere else on my page. There is in the floral pattern paper that I have on my layout. There are some pink flowers in that paper, but otherwise there's no pink anywhere. So I just stuck with the white and the yellow and the lagoon flowers. Some of them I'm going to pop up on regular foam tape. Some elements are going to be glued down flat to the page. And yeah, just kind of putting them around, creating some visual triangles here. So I like to have both pages in front of me when I'm doing a double page layout, so that way I can see that I've got triangles going from one side of a layout to the other. So you can see down here where the shaker piece and the flowers are, that's going to be one corner of my triangle, and then I've got the smiles and the yellow flower for the next point. And then down where that white flower is, where I'm putting these leaves in now, that'll be a third point. So there's one triangle. But then over on the left-hand page, I've got the same two flower spots plus the one up at the top of the page. So like I said, I just find it helpful to have both pages out to think about that design guideline. It's really something that has helped me in my embellishing on my layouts. Okay, so really all I did for this particular challenge this month was to use the one sentiment from the Change the World stamp set. I thought I might use the flowers, but the flowers in the stamp set didn't quite match the flowers in my pattern paper, so I just decided to go with Your Smile Makes Life More Beautiful. But there are some gorgeous florals on that stamp set, lots of other really wonderful sentiments as well. And the great thing about this particular set is that it is meant to be a fundraiser for Operation Smile. So every time you purchase the stamp set, $7 of the proceeds go toward that wonderful charity. So just a beautiful stamp set that also does some beautiful things around the world. So you can find information on that on my website, and also, like I said, on the back of any Close to My Heart catalog. Okay, so this one little extra piece of flower that I had after I cut it off, I was like, when I put my pages in my book, I do use the 3-ring binder, so there's a gap in the middle. Will anybody be able to tell? I decided to go ahead and glue that tiny little extra petal piece over on the right-hand side, but probably nobody will ever know. Okay, and then I'm going to do most of this off camera just because I really had to stick my head right over top of my layout to stamp it correctly. But here is where I'm going to take a tiny alphabet and I'm going to stamp Love Your on top of my word smile. So it says Love Your Smiles. And that's the other half of my title. I'll add some journaling there later. Again, here's that fun shaker piece. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching and that you have been inspired. And if you have any questions about the Operation Smile stamp set, please leave them in the comments down below. I am the last to go of the Makers of the Heart for December, so make sure that you check out the links for the other ladies' videos. They are in the description box down below. Everybody is featuring this same stamp set, and I have just enjoyed watching all of their creations all week long. You can see here one last look at that beautiful Change the World stamp set. All right, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your support, your kind words, and your being here to watch as I create. All right, guys, have a great day. Happy crafting. Bye.